Hello, and welcome back. We're here at Perfectly Paranormal, episode 140. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And today you're going to reflect, pun intended, on the safety of mirrors in homes. We're also going to delve into mirror scrying. And as always, I have my own perspectives and experiences to share, and they may not be what you expect. I've had a few people ask me about mirrors and why I don't have them covered in my home, and I just roll my eyes and give them my explanation. So here we are, and I'm going to be talking about it all today. Now, personally, I have to say that I've never considered mirrors to be portals. And I'm just putting it out there straight away. Unless, and this is the catch, unless a portal is intentionally created in a mirror by someone doing magic or mirror scrying, and their intention is to connect with something on the other side, or to bring something through the mirror. Because remember, everything we manifest in this world is all about intention. And we all know how dangerous that is. Like, seriously, entities wait very patiently on the other side, on the other many sides, and all the other many dimensions that are around us. They have all of eternity to wait for us weak humans to intentionally invite them into our reality. And then the fun begins. Now, I do know someone afraid of old mirrors, the kind of antique ones you see in a lot of the antique shops. She had her mother's antique mirror in her home, and she covered it with a cloth every night. And I was there one day. Well, I was actually going home after I'd been there for an afternoon cup of tea and a chat. And I asked her why she did this. And she said that I've seen my mother looking at me from the inside of the mirror more than once, and it totally freaked me out. And I'm just standing there listening carefully. And my response was, maybe she wants to say hello and to let you know that she loves you and that she's watching over you and that she loves the fact that you have her favourite antique mirror in your home. Now, my friend stopped and she thought about it. She'd never thought of it that way before. She went straight into panic, paranoia and anxiety because of what she'd read online, what she'd seen in the movies and all the old superstitions that come with mirrors. And she did message me a few days later to say that after we had that quick conversation, her mum was never seen in the mirror again. And I know why. It's because her message had been received, and she could go on with whatever she was doing in the afterlife. Now, sometimes people look at old mirrors that have got a silver or a lead backing, and they think, this is one of the superstitions, they think that spirits can be trapped in these types of mirrors, and that's why they cover them after someone's passed away. Now, when I looked that up online, that was a trend that was kind of started in the early 1800s. And again, I think this comes from, it's a superstition, it's old folklore, and the fact that people use mirrors for scrying. And what that means is that scrying is a form of divination where you're looking into a reflective surface to see what you can see. And usually it's with the intention to connect with inner wisdom or to find out what's coming in the future or to connect with your spirit guides. But sometimes there are people that want to use scrying to connect to the paranormal or some sort of supernatural forces. And when people are in that frame of mind and they've got that intention, the paranormal entities can come through the mirrors because that's the intention that has been created. They have turned a perfectly normal mirror that is just a reflective surface into a portal. Lots of things can be turned into portals. It's all about your intention and what you want to do. So with scrying, like I said, people use mirrors, but they can also use polished dark glass, such as obsidian. They can have a big piece of flat obsidian. They can use crystal bowls. I've even seen people use water for scrying, and that goes right back to the ancient Egyptian times. Scrying puts people willingly, or sometimes unknowingly, into a trance-like state. Now, people say they start to feel a little bit sort of wobbly or a little bit vague or a little bit spacey. That's because they haven't left their bodies, but they're connecting to something outside of their own energy, which is always dangerous. Dangerous, 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 because you don't know what is out there. And when people have their minds open and their bodies and their consciousness, that's the level they'll get into. They get into your consciousness, look out. Outside influences can just run amok in your body because you've created that connection. They really do cause lots of problems. And they don't just stay for the scrying session. Once the scrying session's finished, even if you close that portal that's been created through the mirror or the water or the crystal ball or through the obsidian, the entities are here. You called them here, now you've got to deal with them. So old folklore and superstition have many mirror and scrying tales. As I had to look it up online because I don't do mirror scrying. I'm going to talk about that too, why I don't do it. And I'm like, you know what? I just need to have a look at some of the history of this. There's a lot of superstitions attached to mirrors, and I've already mentioned a couple of them. And there's others, such as when people died, you would cover the mirror in the home so that their soul wouldn't be captured in the mirror, wouldn't be trapped in the mirror forever. And you would also leave the windows open so that their soul could escape off into the ether, but you don't even need to worry about the windows. Oh my gosh, the souls entities come through the walls in your home. Spirits come through the walls. They don't use the doors. They come in any which way they fancy. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. But it just boggles my mind the way that people think about things. And the other thing too, that this is what I find most of the time, is that mirrors are just like any other tangible item, whether it be a table or a chair or a desk or a bed or a piece of jewellery or your mum's favourite cup. Take it home with you and all of a sudden every time you use that cup you think of her. That's a positive thing. But mirrors, like our friend earlier, whose mum was showing up in the mirror all the time, she was just trying to get her daughter's attention. They don't think about it freaking people out. But spirits and entities can attach themselves in, on, around, and to items for lots and lots of reasons. It can be emotional reasons, trauma reasons. It can also be because of magical practices such as spells, curses, and hexes, or simply because they loved the item so much for sentimental reasons, they just hang around with it and they follow it everywhere they go when they're earthbound spirits. You know, the lady coming through the mirror that was talking to her daughter or trying to get her attention, she was actually on the other side, using the mirror to get her daughter's attention. But sometimes spirits who are what people call earthbound spirits, they're still here in this reality. They haven't crossed to the light. They're the ones that come through the walls, the doors. They come through everywhere. Oh my goodness, they're so funny. And they can come through mirrors as well. It's just the fact that it's an item. Now, the other thing, if mirrors are used in spiritual practices or magical practices or ceremonies or some sort of rituals, the energetic doorways that are opened in the mirror to connect to wherever or for whatever reason that you're using them to manifest or to connect to your spirit guides, you need to close them down afterwards. Now, I find that if you say the wording out loud, and I don't mean yelling, you can say it in your head, and I'm sure it works to some degree, but I find when you use your words with your voice carry a vibration. They carry an intention. So when you use your words to close a portal out loud, you're giving it more oomph. You're adding extra power to it. And the portals will be closed when you use your special prayers, statements, or whatever it is that you're using. But most important to close them when you're finished. So every time people do mirror scrying with either a mirror or obsidian or a crystal ball or water, they need to close that doorway afterwards. Now I know, because I'm not going to talk about this now, I've talked about it a few times, but when I opened a Ouija board that I made on a piece of white laminate, which is simply a piece of MDF with a white coating on it that people use in their kitchens. I found a piece at the local tip shop and I wrote all the wording on it. My intention to create a Ouija board created one. Oh, did it create one? And oh, did it open a doorway? And I didn't even physically open it. I didn't say I opened the board now to connect with whatever. My intention was so strong to create this board that simply writing the words on it or the letters of the alphabet and yes and no and goodbye, and then going to answer the phone and coming back 10 minutes later and this board was hot. It wasn't in the sun. I'm not going to go on about it. It's in one of my previous episodes, but I opened an energetic doorway. And did I learn my lesson in the old days? This must be, how old am I now? 57. This must be like, I don't know, nearly 30 years ago. I tell this story all the time because it's such a stupid thing to do. And I'm not ashamed to share it because I'm sure there's lots of other people out there that have opened Ouija boards and not closed them. If you are one of them, please go and close your Ouija board now. If you don't know how to close it, you simply ask a higher vibrational being. Now, it can be Buddha, it can be Jesus, it can be Muhammad, whoever you work with. Go past your spirit guides. You need to go higher. You can talk to the Jesus, the Christ consciousness, the God source creator energy. Craft a statement that asks that this board is now permanently closed until I use it again. Or I call on Jesus Christ to please come now to clean, heal and seal the portal that I have opened within this Ouija board. I ask that it is now sealed and that it is safe in my home. You've got to work on your words. I haven't got this written down, so this is my words are a little bit wonky. I have all my statements written down, so they're concise, they're to the point, and the universe knows exactly what you want. Because if you leave any ambiguity, they hang on to that, believe me. So one sentence is usually enough. Keep it simple, but you must close them. Don't ever assume the universe will do it for you. Where was I up to? I wanted to talk a little bit about feng shui. Just a little bit. I don't know much about it, but I did look it up online because I have a wonderful friend in the US who is an amazing feng shui expert. And I thought that people often think of mirrors as protective surfaces. That's what came to my mind. And they carry mirrors in their pockets or they purposely place mirrors in their homes. Now, feng shui uses mirrored surfaces for directing energy around the home, for correcting sort of stagnant energy. You can look it up yourself. So I will go to the internet and look things up because I don't know everything. No one does. I call myself a paranormal specialist because I specialise in the paranormal, but it doesn't mean I know everything. It means I know what I've learned through my own experiences and sometimes my stupid mistakes. But feng shui is amazing about how they use mirrored surfaces. They lighten up dark corners and they can assist and readjust the size of rooms, the energy within rooms. And it is something that I wanted to include because it can be used, the feng shui practices can be used to correct sort of stagnant or energy that's not flowing properly in homes. I've actually sent people to feng shui experts after I've done energy clearing. I'm like, the home's clear now. And the clients will say to me, look, I've got these mirrors that I really love. I've, painted them or created them or one come from grandma and I love them, but I don't know where to put them. I said, well, I can't really help you with that, but you can contact a local feng shui expert that can come to your home and help you decide the best places to put the mirrors in your home to assist with the energetic flow. Now, when I was dealing with magic attack, I slip this in all the time because it's very relevant, it's very paranormal, very supernatural. I was told by many people to manifest mirrored protection around me. It didn't work. I kept writing statements. I kept writing prayers to the universe to use mirrored protection. I'd visualize it. I'd manifest it. I would just spend hours in meditation seeing these mirrors around me. It didn't work. It just didn't work, because the intention of the magic practitioners and their knowledge of the universe and how to get into people's space really is very vast. And I have no understanding of magic practices. I've had to learn from being a victim, and that is the total honest truth. So everything I know is from what I've experienced and survived. So I can say that mirrored surfaces didn't work for me, but I did find ways to protect myself. But I do thank the people that shared that, because they did want to help. So do I do mirror scrying? I have to say that is a big fat no. I don't do any scrying of any type. I do use a pendulum. I suppose that could be classed as scrying. Or it is a divination technique, but I use that every day for my work. But I don't use focused intention, looking into mirrors or water or crystal balls, because my paranormal addiction, which I'm very open about, will be heightened if I choose to do scrying work. And it might attract paranormal entities around me, into my home. And I have to say, I have enough to deal with on a daily basis without extra loiterers. So they can't technically get into my home anymore because I've got good protection, but they can hang around the outside. You know, you work with your spirit guides, angels, archangels, whoever your higher vibrational supporters are. You just talk to them. I talk to them out loud like I was going to say a crazy person, but that's inappropriate. I just talk to my spirit guides like I'm having a chat with a best friend. And there they are. And then I'll wake up the next morning and I'll hear that voice on the right-hand side of my head that gives me whatever information I need. Because the more spiritual work you do, the quicker your answers come. And they won't do all the work for you, but they'll give you a hint. They'll give you a tip. They'll guide you in the direction, and then you need to do the work. So we're just about finished for today, but there's a couple more things that I wanted to mention. I do have notes in front of me because otherwise I get terribly sidetracked and who knows where we would end up. The reason people often see strange things in mirrors is because they're doing it in a darkened room and then maybe they've got candlelight. Because when you're looking at a mirror in a darkened room and you've got your candlelight and you're all set up because you've put out that intention that you want to see something, you might get a fleeting glimpse of what you want to see. You know, you might see a shadow or a random sort of flicker of something in the mirror. Your brain doesn't always register the full image, but if you're sitting there really busting your buttons because you want to see a spirit or a dark entity or whatever it is you're doing it for, your brain is going to grab whatever scary image that you've got going around in the back of your head, maybe from a movie that you watched last night, last week, sort of something that freaked you out a bit that's kind of loitering in the back of your mind. It's going to bring that image forward to fill in the blanks. And then once the person gets what they want, they're like, oh my God, I'm seeing a dark entity. I don't want this now. And it's like, then these people panic because they've got what they wanted, which they didn't really want it in the first place because they knew it would freak them out, but they did it anyway. I don't really understand people sometimes. They do these things and then they freak out afterwards. I'm not judging. I'm just making an observation. People need to think about what they want before they do these things. Any type of divination that you are doing, you need to think about why you're doing it, what the outcome is that you want from it, and are you going to be able to cope if you get what comes through the divination method? Because you never know what's out there. So to finish up today, mirrors are simply reflective material. And everything that you see in them is a reflection of what your brain interprets in the environment around you. Now, pareidolia is something I talked about back in, I think it was episode 113, if you want to check that out. Pareidolia talks about seeing shapes and images in items, seeing shapes and images in dark rooms, and it also applies to mirrors. Sometimes our brain, like I said earlier, our brain can create an image out of something fleeting or a partial image because you so badly want to see something. But if you worry about mirrors, you are going to create that intention that there is something in them. I've had mirrors in my home for years. I've never had any issues, ever had any issues with any mirrors. It's as simple as that. So in episode 141, you're going to hear a strange and possibly relevant experience from Angela. Now, Angela struggled to understand the stinky stench that she experienced when visiting a public place. Now, this is a public place that we've all had to go to at one time or another. And then this stinky stench followed her home. So stay tuned for next week's episode. It's going to be a rather interesting one. And I look forward to spending time with you then, as I do every week. If you like the content of this episode today, please think about leaving me a rating and a review. What reviews do is they let other people know your thoughts about my supernatural subject matter. People love reading reviews, and we're spreading the word about the real paranormal world around us. I would really appreciate it. Now let's get back to the episode. So thank you for joining me today, and don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.